This is the age kids are going to preschool and then starting kindergarten, and that is a great opportunity for them, learning cognitively as well as learning social skills. And preschool is especially beneficial for kids who don't have a lot of social experiences. They don't have other kids that they get to play with, and so that's a real good opportunity. You can help parents in understanding the role of preschool. It's not just to babysit kids, but if we can find a school where there's going to be enrichment activities where they really get to interact with the other kids and learn social skills and some early educational skills, that's a better preschool program. So if parents talk positively about starting school, kids are going to be anxious, but if they make it sound fun, that's going to help the kids. If they can go and walk around the school so it's not new, it's not frightening, and if they can meet the teacher, those are all things that'll help in that transition to starting school. Sex education. Kids at this age ask why questions. They ask why about everything, and they just sort of do it compulsively. It isn't really a serious question half of the time, but they are likely to ask, where did I come from, or where do babies come from? So what's really important is the way that's answered, that children it's not treated as something you can't talk about. But we do want to, this is the next point, find out what the children already know and what they're thinking. They may be saying, where did I come from, because my friend came from New York City. It may not be a sex question, so don't answer what they're not asking. Do be honest, but also don't answer more than they've asked. Their question is at a very basic level, probably. Babies, did I come out of mommy's tummy? Oh, okay, good. I'm going to go play whatever now. So don't over answer the question. If a child were to ask you something like that at the hospital, it's really not our place to answer that, but we still want to kind of keep a positive approach and make them feel like it's okay that they asked, because it is, but that mommies and daddies get to answer that, and so they should ask their parents. Now, fears. This is the age where kids really develop a lot of fears. In fact, they have the greatest number of fears and the most variety of fears at this age. Fear of dark, fear of being alone, of animals, of ghosts, of sexual matters, the monsters under the bed or in the closet, and very much fears of objects or people who are associated with pain. That's us at the hospital, I'm afraid. A good way to deal with this is have the child actively involved in finding a solution. So, asking them, will a nightlight help? If you pick the Thomas the Tank Engine nightlight, let them pick it out. Ooh, that one's going to be the best for making it not scary in your room. If it's a pet, introduce it gradually. If it's under the bed, well, maybe every night part of the bedtime ritual is lifting up the dust ruffle and looking under the bed to make sure there's nothing there. So let the child become part of that solution. And if kids really have severe fears that are not helped by kind of those simple steps, it's going to disrupt the entire family, and they may very well need professional help. Stress and aggression. Stress, kids this age can have a lot of stress, and so we want to be aware of that, watch for that, and help families to watch for that. They're starting school, that's stressful. Often this is the age that siblings are born, that's stressful. Perhaps parents are going through a divorce, perhaps they're moving, they're in the hospital, there's some illness going on. There are a lot of very real sources of stress in their life, and so the best way to deal with it is to prevent things as much as we can. Part of that is making sure they're getting good nutrition, enough rest, and then making sure that they're prepared for what's ever coming. If they know they're going to be coming to the hospital, they should come, get to see where they're going to be, have a little bit of a taste of what they're going to be experiencing, not the painful parts, of course, but just so it's not so new and it's not so scary. If they're going to be moving, go and see the new house. That preparing them as best as possible. Now, aggression is hurting a person or destroying someone else's property and doing that on purpose. We know boys just have more of a tendency towards aggression. Children who are really frustrated, there's a lot of stress going on in their life, they're more likely to act out with aggression. If aggression's been modeled for them, that's what they see in the home, that's what they're going to do. And something we can reinforce to parents is to not reinforce aggressive behavior. If the mom is on the phone and the kid's trying to get her attention and she never pays attention, he goes and pushes down the little sibling. Well, now mom comes over and talks to him. Well, that reinforced that if mom's on the phone and I need her attention, if I push down my little sibling, I'll get her attention. Now, it's negative attention, but it's still attention. So helping parents avoid situations like that where they're giving attention for aggression. Speech problems. This is a critical age for developing speech, so we want to make sure kids are hearing at this age. Between 2 and 4, their vocabulary just takes off, and often they know words, but they can't quite say them or pronounce them or use them. Sometimes they'll practice a word that they've heard on TV or somewhere else, and they might get it right, they might use it wrong. I remember my son when he was 3 or 4 saying ludicrous, and I said, where did you hear that? On the Power Rangers. So they're really picking up words all over the place, and part of that stuttering and stammering are really common. Their brain is going so much faster than the muscles of their face and their mouth can form the words that they'll say, I want to go with you. The best thing for parents to do is to know that this is normal and to wait it out. Let them do that stuttering and that stammering and finally get the whole sentence out. Parents often will want to interrupt and say the sentence for them. That's not a good idea. Let the child get it out. As long as parents don't make a big deal of it, the child will, a few stutter, but very few. Most get through this and get over it as they just get that coordination to be able to speak. Nutrition, they need about 90 calories per kilo per day, so that's actually come down from infancy and toddlerhood. We do want to make sure they're getting a healthy diet, and part of the problem in the U.S. is too much saturated fat, so no more than 10% of the diet. We want to encourage activity. This is the age they should be running, jumping, climbing, playing, and we want to encourage that as long as they're doing it safely. And parents really stress over how kids eat, but as long as they eat well over the course of a week, we shouldn't worry about any single meal. Sleep and activity. Kids this age should be sleeping about 12 hours a night. It's fairly common for them to wake during the night. They may not come all the way awake, they'll just kind of wake and yell and roll over and go back to sleep. We want to encourage activity. Let them play and run and jump. They're developing all those motor skills. So let's find things that they find fun, that are physically active, and let them do that. Nightmares and sleep terrors are very common at this age. Nightmares, they come totally awake at the end of it. Sleep terrors, they yell and thrash and kind of come to a semi-awake stage, but never really fully awake. So that's the difference. But those, unfortunately, are fairly common at this age. Having a consistent bedtime routine is good for kids this age, especially those kids who are hard to put to bed. And many of them, you put them to bed and all of a sudden, I need water, I need my blankie, my sheets aren't straight, I'm cold, can you do, you know, close the window, open the window. They'll keep making things up over and over and over, getting the parent back in. And so parents need to, you know, if the child really needs help, go in, but otherwise not reinforce those behaviors. It's good for kids to have that bedtime ritual, and part of it is to slow down. They run full bore all day long, jumping, climbing, you know, they're just going full speed. It's hard to go from that to lay down and go to sleep. So having that routine that they do, after dinner I take a bath, I put on my pajamas, we watch, you know, one show of Dora, we read one book, and then I go to bed, or something that's kind of slowing down, quieter activities. Injury prevention at this age, we're less worried about falls than we were with preschoolers. They just have better coordination, and they tend to have a better idea of what's dangerous and what's not. They'll listen to parental rules a little better, and they just aren't reckless. They don't try and do dangerous things quite as much. One of the big problems, though, is we're starting to see pedestrian versus motor vehicle accidents at this age, and almost always the child runs out. They run out to chase a ball, or they run out without looking. So really teaching and reinforcing to look both ways before you cross the street, not to run out after a toy. And then the other thing, they're starting to play sports. Having them use that protective equipment so that they get used to it. It's much easier if you start it than if you start later. Okay, what, Amy?
Do we get the Fresno Bee Sue
No.
Rascal this year?